A lot is happening across the country, politically, economically, and even in sports. We're going to talk about what you are waking up to on this 30th of July 2025. It is a Wednesday, a very, very cold one indeed, like we always start on this particular month. Hopefully you are dressed warm and ready to face the day. Well, let's jump into what it is that you're expecting this morning. Well, the government is speaking, and it's speaking through Deputy President Kithure Kindiki. It is announcing that Taifa Care is working. That is according to the government. And according to the government, they've hit 25 million Kenyans who have insurance under that health scheme. Now remember, there were a bit of problems in its implementation and adoption, but now according to the government, this is actually working, and they are pretty sure that it's going to be a game changer. Again, these are the words of Deputy President Kithure Kindiki, who's saying that Taifa Care is and will be a game changer in Kenya's health care. That is according to the Deputy President right there. Well, my name is Simbalaja Charles Kiage. You're just in time for the morning drift. We have a lot of conversations that are going to follow this morning. So hang around at Lookup TV across all those social media platforms. For now, let me jump straight into what we have on our day list this morning. And we don't have the Daily Nation. We're going to start with them. And this is exactly what they're talking about. It's a big headline over the news of Tanzania barring Kenyans from doing some businesses in their country. Tanzania jobs ban hits Kenyans hard. Now, Dodoma's move to bar foreigners from select businesses in the country will affect thousands of Kenyans, with a Suluhu regime sanction infuriating local traders and members of parliament who have asked Nairobi to impose retaliatory measures. You're going to read that story on page 4. Just a quick glance of those jobs that have been essentially made only for Tanzanians. Number one, repair of mobile phones and electronic devices. So those people are doing businesses of mobile repair and electronic devices, whether these are TVs, fridges, or anything that essentially falls in that category. Those are jobs that are only made for Tanzanians. Salon businesses, unless conducted in a hotel or for tourism purposes. So that's quite clear there, that unless you're doing it for tourism purposes or you're doing it in a hotel, then any other business outside those two areas that have been stated there by Tanzanian government, it means that you'll be arrested if you actually are found in this business if you're not a Tanzanian. Others ones is tour guiding within the country, quite clear right there. Brokerage or agency in businesses and real estate. All this has been made bona fide businesses for Tanzanians, and ownership and operation of micro and small industries. So essentially, if you have a small business within Tanzania and you're not a Tanzanian, then you need to vacate that particular area or make sure that that business has been transferred to a Tanzanian ownership. Well, quite interesting right there. And this particular story has spawned a lot of interest from Kenyan lawmakers who have urged President Dr. William Ruto to also come up with retaliatory measures that are bound to go hand in hand with what Dodoma has announced right there. It's going to be interesting to see exactly how the country reacts to this, because Kenya has for a long time been known to be quite welcoming to foreigners who are doing businesses within this particular country. Also, this coming at a time when an EAC has been strengthened. So whether this is fighting what EAC has done or not is something that we're going to see in the coming days. Another story that you're going to run into this particular daily is a cash crunch forces public schools to close early. Now, you're going to read that story on page 5. Learners will have a longer holiday after schools shut down a week earlier, with a teacher citing shortage of funds from the government. That story also coming on page 5 on the heels of conversations around how the government is struggling to support the free primary and secondary education within the country. Also, that coming also on reports of the government fighting back over that announcement from the CS, Treasury and National Planning body, who announced that, well, indeed, the budget does not really support what we have currently, doesn't support, and the members of parliament really need to go back and draw that support if these programs are going to continue. On page 7, you're going to read about how Uhuru Raila applaud political survival out of the 2027 polls. Realignments are arising from new political order, and there are now factions that are coming up on how also political families are going to back are going back to the drawing board. That story has been covered on page 7. Good. Other story we have here on page 3. You're going to read how a man has returned back to the country after his planned execution in Saudi Arabia. That story has been covered on page 3 of the Daily Nation. Good. Let's cross over then to the Standard this morning and see what headlines that they have fronted on this particular publication. On the Standard, the main story is how Kenyans are being mortgaged, and this is what they're saying. Auction future, as President William Ruto's government rolls out a controversial securitization model to fast track infrastructure. Experts are now warning it's a financial time bomb, borrowing against future taxes, bypassing parliament and risking constitutional breach. Critics call it reckless, opaque, and a tantamount to mortgaging Kenya's future for short-term political optics. This is economic sabotage, that's what they're calling it, says one former Treasury insider. You don't tax citizens today just to gamble with their tomorrow. Experts are wondering in whose interest are government officials deploying these schemes, and they're calling it schemes. You're going to read that story on page 4 of the Standard, and these are just stark numbers that you have to look at this morning. That Kenya's public debt has gone up to 11.5 trillion, which is 67% of GDP, breaching legal thresholds and drawing sharp criticism of a government's aggressive use of debt, securitization to raise funds, and 175 billion other plans such as the fuel levy bond and a 44.7 billion stadium bond that have stacked concerns that government is bypassing constitutional safeguards. That story has been covered on page 4 of the Standard newspaper. Story here on page 6, you're going to read on how teachers are going to face murder charges over a boy who was 14 years old, was killed and hanged in cover-up. Now 2 teachers are now facing criminal charges after a Kericho court ruled they staged a suicide to cover up the savage beating of Enoch Kipkoech. The Standard 8 pupil was found hanging in a school bathroom. That story has been covered on page 6 of the Standard. Also, inside here is Kanja power cut in police pay shock. You're going to read that story on page 9 as well. Now let's cross over online and see exactly what it is that Kenyans are talking about this morning. And indeed, there are stories here that are trending that you should also be aware about. Just refreshing my feed right here. All right, on top of that story is Taifa Care is trending this morning. Kenyans are really talking about how the government has announced that Taifa Care is indeed working and functioning how it should be working. We've already told you some of those comments from DP Kithure Kindiki, who's saying that indeed it's going to be a game changer, and currently 25 million Kenyans already under that particular scheme. Also, I do see Gikomba is trending. Hopefully, it's not because of the annual Gikomba fires. We should be investigating this. And as I go on with my broadcast this morning, I'll be telling you exactly why Gikomba is trending this morning. For some reasons, I can't get my feed to refresh this morning so that I can see exactly what Kenyans are talking about Gikomba this morning. Good. That is exactly what it is that you are waking up to this morning. Majority of these stories are exactly also going to be covered majorly on our social media platforms at Lookup TV, across all your social media platforms. Talk to us. We shall talk back to you as well. Our morning conversation this morning is going to be on how political parties are gearing to the 2027 general elections. And the question that we're asking this morning is whether indeed these political parties are still trapped in a politics of convenience and control, as opposed to realigning themselves to our digital, economic, and democratic space. Are they indeed aligned? I'll be introducing the guest who will be joining us shortly. And so in the studio this morning, they're talking to us at Lookup TV across all your social media platforms. I am at Kia Gesimba online. Once we come back, I'll be introducing the guest and jumping into that conversation. Good morning. See you on the other side of this break. All right, welcome back to Lookup TV. My name is Simba Elijah Charles King again. Just before we took that tiny breather, I told you that our conversation essentially is going to be about painting a picture of what responsibility political parties should have and what you should be demanding of these political parties as we gear up to the 2027 general election. Now, this morning, we ask a pressing question as we head into the 2027 political climate or elections. Kenya's political parties truly aligned to a democratic, economic, and a digital future, or are they still trapped in the politics of convenience and control? Joining us this morning is a man who has been vocal on this matter, from calling for urgent electoral transparency to warning of a looming education collapse if Kenya fails to reform the age of artificial intelligence. He is the party leader of the Justice and Freedom Party and a 2027 presidential candidate, Dr. Justus Juma. Welcome to the program, sir. How are you doing?
Thank you so much, Simba.
Happy to have you around.
Happy to have you too, and good morning and greetings to all viewers and to all fellow Kenyans.
Let's jump directly into that conversation.
Yes, sir.
You've introduced your party officially.
Right.
And some of the areas that you've been speaking about are the ones that I've essentially spoken about. You're speaking on digital transformation, you're talking about education, you're even talking about what the youth, how the youth should be enshrined in the policies the majority of these political parties are coming over.
Right.
Let's talk about what is the root of the foundation of your party.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. For those who did know me well from the horse's mouth, at least Simba has introduced me. But this is true, I'm Justus Juma. I'm the party leader of Justice and Freedom Party. And I'm a son of this land. I've seen what it takes to be in Kenya.
Yes.
As a citizen, I derive my rights from this land. I have worked with the poor, a son of a cobbler, known what it is to do it right until you succeed, whether be it from the ghettos, whether be it from the minimum that you have. And I have taught the truth in an environment where it's actually truth it sounds like endemic. And leadership of honesty and trust, actually, it looks like a bubble. But I have the guts, based on past experience, that we can burst this bubble and assure Kenyans that yes, honest and true leadership still exists. I have inspired hope in environments where actually it was very difficult, because for a while, especially in the political field, it's been very murky and it's quite difficult. Most of the good people tend to keep off it. Actually, as a born-again believer, I have received backlash from my fellow friends. The day or the moment I took this responsibility, especially to pursue political vision. And I have seen how difficult it is, especially when you mix with the bad boy and the bad girl culture that we are having within our political system. To a point that the political circle has been devoid of ideologies, of values. It's all about tribal and ethnic balkanization. And actually I call it tumbocracy, where people don't think, they only think with their stomach. And instead of being servants, people choose to sacrifice. Instead of feeling the people they lead, people choose to fleece. Yeah, so in the midst of all that, we've emerged through a journey, because when I came into this path, initially when I vied, I knew it was as easy as talking to the people. You go to the ballots, and you get to parliamentary assembly and make policies that were relevant to our needs. And when I vied in 2013, the reality on the ground was not so. Though my people welcomed me. Where I vied, actually, the three-factor system that I was using then to reach out to the voters, because in my constituency we have 5 wards. So I opted to get at least 5 people from every ward and discipled them into my vision. And subsequently, out of these 5 people, all of them were so baptized into my vision that they all resolved to vie as well. And to cut the long story short, all of them vied, 4 won. People who were not known. So that convicted me and inspired me that indeed there is hope and this is very possible. Ultimately, on my end, there was major gerrymandering in terms of my results. So they did not come out as I desired. But that was not the end of me, because I know that is where most of the individuals who venture into this field normally cast off restraint and give up their hope. And I made sure that my dream didn't slip. I navigated the political terrain. I did my SWOT analysis, found where I had difficulties, and where I was having difficulties in, because in Kenya, current democratic system is governed by the Political Parties Act and the Electoral Act. So actually, majorly it is political parties based. And the political parties management as institutions, by then I was amazed, because I first vied in ODM as seeking primaries. And let me tell you, Elijah, there used to be Orange House here and next to Yaya. I was almost killed at 1. The day I went for my nominations documents, you were given cards to go on the ground to go and give out to your members for purposes of nomination. Let me tell you, that's the first time I encountered men in the black. And they were shooting in the air. It was not a joke. When I raised up these issues, there were no disciplinary measures. It was all chaos. So I resolved to defect, announced after 14 days. That I was convicted and I believed in my principles. So I got another party. But this party, also the owner was just mark timing. You know, these fence eaters. So we went into the ground and we saw the reality. We saw how thirsty our people were for an alternative. And out of all that mix, I went with this party, struggled, there was no support, but we still managed to come out the way we came out. So when we were coming out, because one major goal that actually I pushed very successfully, and it's an achievement I have to date, was driving citizens to participate in the democratic process, so that we understand the rule of the law, driven by issues, not just individuals, not just the amount of money that you have, but based on what somebody wants to do for you. So actually, yes, I was behind also while I was vying. I was behind the presidential debates, because that was one avenue for enhancement of accountability, which to date, initially it was supposed to be handled by Media Council. You know, they has flopped. The one that came through was now that our private initiative. And the outcome of it to date, whether you're talking about Gen Zs, people need to know where this thing began. Because by then, the political terrain, especially this setup, it was all about Gunism. It was all about tribalism. Actually, the myths then were weird. We were coming in just when Akina Raila are picking up from Akina Jaramogi Oginga and Moi. I know during Moi's time, you wouldn't even comment on matters of governance or any political issues. You'd watch your back. You'd even think that is in the maize plantation. Raila, Odinga, we used to be told that he's such a magical man. He can turn into flies. He can turn into a cock. So there are those myths around political leaders. So engaging these individuals around accountability measures or issues that pertains to economic development was quite difficult. And it was all about Gunism. And actually, they've tried to maintain that. I can see how they're whipping up emotion, even currently, around tribal sentiments. But when you scrutinize these guys closely, you'll be surprised there's nothing. They're all empty debates.
Yes.
It's all about tribal emotions, and no one have any substantial issues to offer to the country. Yeah, so as a son of the country, I saw that yes, we can still continue engaging and bring the citizens, because if you look at our constitution, power belongs to the people. Sovereign authority belongs to the people. And it's us who delegate it, either directly, we can exercise it directly or indirectly through now delegated a democratic process.
Yes.
And the challenge we've had, one, we have an issue in exercising our sovereign authority. That has been a major issue. Leave alone stewardship around the delegated sovereign authority. So my focus was on these sovereign authorities. How can we exercise it, whether directly or indirectly? Because if you don't understand it to begin with, then you will not even know how to exercise it. Somebody can abuse it right on your face.
Yes.
Because Constitution has envisaged us with inalienable rights. Like you see, right to life. That one, even an animal cannot take it away. Right to freedom. Right to purpose. These are not bargainable. Those are things that Constitution has given to you. Those are your rights. You own them. Those are the things you derive by the virtue of being a son or a daughter of this land. It's not debatable. But now, out of those rights, you can delegate, or you can exercise them directly or indirectly based on the desired achievements. Yeah, so the principle of how we delegate this thing is also entrenched in the Constitution, in yes. that whoever we are delegating it to, we delegate it for a purpose. And our purposes are all around the rights, your right to education.
Yes.
Every child has a right in Kenya for quality education. Right to food and housing. Every child has a right to dignified meal, not only just accommodation, but to live in Kenya, able to fulfill your full aspirations. Yeah, so these things, when we were coming into this terrain, they were sounding like the nice intellectual rhetorics, but when it comes to the reality, it's the other way around.
That's it.
People treat them like privileges.
Yes.
And they've not stopped. The level of the impunity, even to date, you've seen how scathingly in our face. They'll say that shoot somebody on the foot, or shoot somebody on the head. And you are wondering, at what point did you invert the Constitution to a point that the person that you need to protect turns out to be now your enemy that you need to kill?
Yes.
Then who are you representing?
Yes.
Yeah, so those have been major questions that have informed our participation in the democratic process. Yeah, so when we came on this, I thought of a better mechanism after the debates on how to continue with the advocacy. But I realized you need an institution.
Yes. And
having an institution that is not having garbages or having unnecessary weights, because most of them, if you look at them, they were individuals' properties. And to date, I can still hear such sounds. If you hear people talking like in ODM, they're like Chamania, Nani, stuff like that.
Yes.
But ideally, a political party, according to the Political Parties Act, is born out of Article 38,
Yes.
where every citizen have a right of association. And the way you associate and set yourself up to present your issues or your interest is protected by the Constitution.
That's it.
And is registered as a political association.
Yes.
And actually is a right and a freedom of choice. So out of that right, there are various elements that governs it, in that a political party to be registered in Kenya must be based on ideology.
That's it.
And it must have
Yes.
regional representation. It must have membership from not less than 24 counties.
That's it.
And all these values are the ones that actually should be determining the desired outcome, because the Constitution, the spirit behind the Constitution, when you're looking at all these provisions within the Political Parties Act,
Yes.
is such that the outcome of a democratic process should lead us to a progressive economy. And that is why I normally say good democracy leads to good economy.
Good economy, yes.
Bad democracy
Yes.
leads to bad economy. So our discourse, yes, which we should explore more, should be around why is our economy getting better. And the more we hemorrhage our economy, actually the more it reflects
Yes.
or portrays that our politics or our democracy actually is not good. I think those are the questions we need to answer.
Pretty much. There's a key aspect, again, which has become an identifier of what you're championing for as a party. I mean, for a very long time, youth and youth affairs in this
Right.
country, they've been purported to be taken care of by these political parties, but time in, after every election process, we see youth cry that they've been given a deaf ear, even
Right.
in terms of representation. But for you, you're talking about digital well-being of the youth in this country.
Yes.
There's a key element that you mentioned there, and digital advocacy by the youth has also been a problem,
Right.
been a thorny issue
Yes.
in majority of these governments that we've seen.
Yes.
Why did you decide to talk about digital well-being of
Well-
youth in this country?
Well, the digital health.
Yes.
That was a soundbite in the midst of major engagement. You know, sometimes I give a lot of policy engagements, and also you also need to look at soundbites in terms of,
Yes.
wait a minute, what are we going through? Because sometimes when you go in the social media and you look at the patterns of things, nothing is there without an intention. Everything out of a design.
Yes.
And then you find short movies, and some of them are actually adrenaline weighty, and you like, oh, you feel that a lot of hate, the satirism around them
Yes.
is not normal. Is that one which boils you up, steams you up. And at the end of the day, if you look at the general health and general well-being, there are specific expectations that you would expect for an individual to function correctly. Because specific amount of adrenaline, and I'm not a doctor. Yes, my doctorate is out of the professional, not medical doctor, so
Yes.
that I can speak this on authority. But I have general knowledge, logical application of various health principles, which can govern you to know that a specific degree of adrenaline within your body can actually lead to hypertension, can actually lead to blood pressure. Actually, there are some of these things that are leading to health issues
Yes.
which we are having, which some of them, if you trace very well, you might not know that it's in a talk from just what you're watching. Yeah, so as we engage also within these parameters, there are certain cautions that we need to have. But that, to me, I think should be traced back on how we train and educate our children. You see, when we have a society that educate their children circumspectly, in that it's not just academia, but you can also critically think and analyze given circumstances. You can convert knowledge into consumable realities for your own good. Because at the end of the day, even when you're talking about the democratic representation, it begins with you. I've always differed with Abraham Lincoln, who said that ask not what your country will do for you, but ask what you shall do for your country.
Yes.
Actually, to me, it's the other way around. Yes, you should ask yourself what your country will do for you. Is your interest first?
Yes.
So if he's not taking care of you, if he's not benefiting you, like this is a principle we apply in business. Because if it can't benefit you, it won't benefit another person, isn't it?
That's
So it has to benefit you first.
Yes.
Yeah, so when we are consuming education, and there's a major concern about our education curriculum to date. And then I'm also so inspired by our fellow Kenyans. You saw the other day the CEO of GTP rating Kenyans to be one of the top users of ChatGPT
Yes,
globally, followed by India. And that tells you the resilience. This is a very unique country. Can you imagine, despite all the economic challenges you're going through, you're still being rated better. Yet, as a son of the land, we know where the shoe is pinching us, because the education curriculum that we are consuming is much more geared towards academia or passing exams. And you pass exams just to get certificates. But it's so limited on critical thinking and innovation. Because when it comes to creativity and innovation, where actually probably that is the hub that can turn around our economic well-being. And if we are able to just catch it a little bit through our curriculum, let's set up systems to help our people to find get a foundation where you have enhancement through your education environment to research, to invent, to be creative, to be critical thinker. No, sio ile ya unakaa kwa class na hiyo class there's no expression. As men, we have when it comes back to purpose, you have a responsibility as a male to be the protector. Even physically, you are the one who is endowed with the strength.
That's it.
Yeah, to be the pillar of protection and the cover. Such that even when you are interacting, look at the animal kingdom. You'll find the males, they always test themselves by, the fight among themselves. And they're not fighting because they hate each other. They are fighting to strengthen their muscles for those eventualities to protect, So the moment you are set up in an environment, class environment where you must be submissive,
yes,
you must be pious, you must be in some certain order. But these orders eventually works against your biological purpose or makeup, in that you will be a successfully submissive person, but you can't provide, you can't protect your own family.
Yes.
And this ripple effect have serious major psychological effect, even in our family, even in our spirituality. So when we have an education or academic environment that is holistic, that factor in all this, then you end up with the males who are not disappointing at home, isn't it? Then we have also women who have been trained and they know what to be, apart from being a doctor or being an accountant and all these professional knowledges which are very good, PhD, masters. But when you come home, you can't be a mother. When you come home, you can't be a father. These things are serious realities that are hitting us very hard. And these are the fundamental tenets that makes our society successful.
That's it.
So if we can't get these foundations right,
yes,
it makes us very difficult to remain competitive globally. I'm happy that we are the top consumers of specific technological provisions. And I need to question, as we consume it, how are we consuming it? Is it translating into economic benefit? Or are we just consumers?
That's it.
Because as we speak, our economy is really consumer-based. Why are we consuming? Why are we not the inventors? Why we look at our export system? We export more, we import more than we export. And the moment you import more than you export, definitely the dollar exchange will definitely affect your what? Your currency value.
Yes.
And with a struggling currency value and this wanton borrowing that these guys have gone around, borrowing without check and balances, you end up paying, as we speak right now, Kenya is paying just interest alone on what they've been borrowing. 30%, can you imagine? 30% of your GDP unapeleka kwa interest because you borrow. Yet we have a capacity as a nation
Yes.
to address these principles through education. I know we'll talk about debt and all that balance, but through education, you are capable of raising up an environment where you are not just a consumer, but a producer.
That's it.
So those are the things that we are emphasizing on as Justice and Freedom Party to make sure that there are policies that can move us forward. And actually, Kenyans, we don't have a choice.
That's it. But another question that I came across, and I was told to ask you this question specifically.
Right.
I don't know whether it's illiteracy from majority of Kenyans when it comes to what the Constitution demands of political parties. Article 920 is quite clear.
Yes.
That your political party is an ideology.
Right.
When they come to you and you subscribe to whatever it is that they're telling you, it means that you have to demand.
Yes.
Later on, should they ascend to power, whatever it is that you promised, you have to deliver. Why is the disconnect? Because over time, we've seen the political parties promise so much
Right.
In terms of their policies, their manifestos, but then what normally ends up getting delivered, it's so different from what they have promised in their manifestos and during these campaign periods when they come in and seek popularity for majority of Kenyans.
Well, let me tell you the problem or the divisions we have in this country is that not even the laws themselves, but the leadership. Problem begins and ends with the leadership. Because when I look at Article 91 and 92,
Yes.
which now from political parties' perspective, actually, I might also propose specific review zone when you talk about law reviews, because I found the regulators and the political parties' regulation tend to take away from the political parties' autonomy, because from the Article 1 of our Constitution, subsection 2, where sovereign power belongs to the citizen, and Article 38, which gives the citizens right to associate, right of choice politically, should still have other legal provisions that maintain that. And the moment your political party or your right to associate, when you go to 91 and 92, is overly oversight, you tend to take away that sovereignty. And sometimes those are the essence that can also water down the constitutional provision, because somebody gives here and takes away from here. But from your angle, I agree with you. There are specific checks and balances that needs to bring sanity within the democratic space.
Yes.
And these checks and balances are there in the Constitution. And that's why I'm telling you, I'm even they are over-provided for in 91 and 92 to a point that we're thinking that some need to be taken away to restore back the autonomy. But still, they're not yielding results.
Yes.
Because the moment you come out to the Kenyan citizens and present ideologies, that becomes your contract, the social contract, that actually mandates your engagements with the citizens.
At what point do you break it?
No.
And does the Constitution empower the citizenry then to say, oh, wait a minute, you broke it, so we're heading this direction?
There you go. And that's what I'm saying. And that is why, again, you see our investment in bringing citizens to participate in the democratic process has been very key. We've seen a number of successes from the debate come 2018, 2018, where those rights were being taken away because these people felt that Kenyans are really rising up.
Yes.
How do we, especially the dynasties, the elites, who have used the political system as business, the people who are in this country has no any other business apart from being politicians. And as long as that status quo is maintained, then their business them is profitable. So those are the individuals who have always captured these institutions to make sure that they are ineffective and actually does not yield the desired result. But the person who has the key to unlock this is the Kenyan citizen. So in 2017, 2018, they came up with something called BBI. And I looked at this document and I'm like, wait a minute. These guys are literally butchering our constitution for their own preserve. The person who petitioned BBI, actually my petition with the 70 constituency was the one that actually had unanimous ruling across all the courts. But when we were beginning, let me tell you, Even just the day when we were beginning with the accountability campaigns, like bringing in the debates, Media Council dropped it out. But through the church, we brought it back. And we can talk about now Kenyans questioning their leaders. Like, so these guys, they are, remember even from Nyanza, where I come from, people say, do Jama Kisoma to Mesoma. Only to realize that Jama Mujamrefa Soma, Pia Nalala class. So the entire community ended up being what? Duped, because the person who was, they were looking up upon to read did not read.
Yes.
So when we read this thing, I said, no. This is a serious deceit on our constitutional core. So meanwhile, there were certain good things, because when you talk about national vision and the way they are talking about ethos, those are aspirations and the values that we still desire, and will need those values to be entrenched deeply. Actually, to me, is constitutionalism, is a culture that now need leaders to demonstrate and lead through inspiration, to let people internalize and habituate. And that doesn't even need constitutional review, or you don't need another referendum to make that happen.
Yes.
And so when you look at the issues of governance that they were bringing, you said, no, this needs to actually be thrown out. My famous word then was that this bridge is a pathless bridge. It has no road. And of course, they had a train already on the bridge. They had announced that this train has left the station, and the train has no brakes, and it was playing loud reggae. All you could hear is no one can stop reggae. And I was like, wait a minute, guys. This is, everybody is going to collapse. This is once it gears off the bridge,
yes,
we are all dying constitutionally. And lo and behold, yes, that's exactly what happened. When the courts came and ruled, and the verdict was so loud, it fell and it was covered by dust. But it has, it birthed that the enthusiasm to now move forward and represent ourselves. No, one of them jumped, because all the political players by then, Elijah, I think he used to interview us then. And that position was very unpopular. The person who led that position was Justice and Freedom Party, led by me. When they were in Bomas, we were in Uhuru Park. And even Ruto was with them. What Ruto did when he saw, since he was really also he was the black sheep in Bomas, he jumped to this other side and weaponized the political environment. And that's the now last victory that we are seeking to get. And Gen Z, listen to me very carefully, because those are the things that have delayed our freedom or our success.
That's it.
When we jumped on this, and there's stolen money, poverty and there, capturing media, weaponizing every direction,
yes,
buying electoral agents. Because that electoral process, to me, it lacked integrity. That electoral process had a lot of questions. People like us, presidential candidates, we were locked out on unconstitutional foundations, to a point that even institutions like EACC could be weaponized, imagine against a candidate, to stop a candidate from moving forward. So we saw a lot. When we were in this arena, I do congratulate the aspirants who come out and they're able to take blows and are able to go through the processes. We saw a lot, but we know what needs to be addressed. Because the key lies with the citizens coming out, and coming out to define their representation.
That's it.
And the field is not void. You have Justice Juma. I know the other people who have come, but I've listened to them, and we're also following historical habit, because to me, change is not an event, it's a process.
That's it. I want you to respond to this question in just 2 minutes, because I want us to take a tiny breather and come and look at other issues as well.
Right.
Youth and women representation in political parties has been a thorny issue. In fact, even as we sit currently as it is, when you start asking both our houses about their representation, they will look at you and they'll walk out, because they've not given a solution. Even when the president promised that it was going to petition Parliament to actually make sure that the 2/3 majority rule has been met in both houses, that motion has gone underground as well. What policies have you put in place as a political party, Juma?
Propaganda.
In 2 minutes. Yes.
I saw it using, getting some bites out of it. Well, you see, the representation,
yes,
to me, as long as we have I borrow from Exodus 18:21, which says, choose leaders who are able and capable. Choose leaders who fear Yahweh. Choose leaders who speak the truth. Choose leaders who hate covetousness.
Yes.
You see, when you have leaders who are grounded on meritocracy and are knowledgeable when it comes to the law, not just knowledgeable, but live the law, is their habit, is their lifestyle. And they are able to speak it and be guided by it. Because yes, there's a lot of democracy, corruption around power. Whether it comes with, you see, you are all molded to the entire society. Whether it comes to even the Western liberalism, you know, all those other forces,
yes,
they corrupt leadership. Yeah, and then even economic hitmen, they corrupt leadership. As we speak today, majority of our leaders are just compradas who are reserving this geographical location as consumer market for their bosses. No wonder in that election I declared that I've looked around, both right and left, even backwards and forward, and I had not seen, I only saw a fox and a wolf. We're being forced to choose who should eat us. And lo and behold, that is exactly what is happening.
Yes.
Because all of them would not resist the temptation of sacrificing our country at the altar of Western or Eastern deals. And you've seen, they are done, those ones are coming from Raila Kota. So if he was the president, he would still have done the same things. So who really, in this son of the land, where Elijah and I and our sister are, shall stand for this country? Individuals who can turn the battles at the gates and say, Kenya, this is my home, I guard it and protect it first. You see, when it comes to that, it does not even have gender definition.
Yes.
It gets people like David in the Bible, you understand? And we've seen the turnaround of various economies. Just the other day, I saw how Venezuela and even Brazil turn around the economy. I've seen how Singapore are turning around the economy. Actually, where Kenya is today is, actually Kenya is not alone.
Yes.
This debt trap that we have.
Yes.
Other country has been within this geographical location, within this same situation. But how have they come out of it?
I want you to hold that thought right there, because you're introducing a conversation that I want us to jump into, just exactly what your view is on how Kenya's economy has been. You know, we start this morning where we say that our debt has crossed now the 11.5 trillion mark. You look at it, that's 67% of our Kenyan GDP. It's essentially around 70%, I would say, is around debt now. I mean, if we're giving political parties responsibilities, then some of the ways that they're going to win us over is that exactly how we're going to walk out of issues like this 11.5 trillion debt, or 70% of our Kenyan GDP. Once we come back, we shall be hearing from Dr. Juma on exactly what his party is doing around this area, and also as it gets to delve into that bigger issue of youth and women representation in political parties in the country once we come back.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Lookup, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu, kwa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wasa wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hao sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi mazuri.
mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
People are there to belittle you. When people are questioning you,
if you don't move fast, of course, yes, you lose it, but then it's not us to push you.
But you do not know the God who has been molding me. What has he been doing to me?
The deep and mature conversations of empowerment for you with a curious mind and an appetite for oriented conversations.
I concur with what you're saying. You plan your finances, you can easily live without a debt.
An engaging safe space of free expression and truthfulness with an upheld vibrance, motivation and happiness.
So many children who are there, they are not living their dreams.
Join us for deep conversations with Zipporah Gashushe every Saturday from 8 p.m. The Deeper Conversations on Look Up TV.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program, and climate change. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
Start your day with a workout routine, an exciting moment of exercise that is simple but powerful for your ultimate fitness. Build your strength, shape and body muscles with lunges, push-ups, squats, burpees, planks, dumbbells and more. Let's work out every Monday to Saturday from 6:30 a.m. on Fitness Zone, a one surefire way to attack your fitness regimen effectively.
Welcome back to the Morning Drift. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiagia. We're still in conversation with Dr. Justice Jumadan. Just looking at where his party is and essentially talking about the responsibility the political parties have in the country in terms of delivering to the citizenry, because they usually come to you for support. In Article 91 and 92 of the Kenyan Constitution essentially says what these political parties should deliver, their responsibilities to the citizens. Do you know about it? If you don't know about it, then I urge you to go read those two articles so that you know then what your political party's responsibility towards you as a citizen is. Now, before going on a break, he was addressing those key areas around youth and women representation. As you clear that particular point, I also want to ask you this question, that once political parties are sent to power, they struggle to maintain their ideological discipline. I mean, for you now as a party, what internal forms are you looking at so that you can say that for us, we stand for this and we're going to stand with it from the get-go up until the time we complete that journey?
You see, when you struggle to maintain your ideology or your manifesto,
yes,
that simply means that that was not your manifesto. You copy-pasted. And that's why I don't shy around from these invitations. Sometimes when you invite us like this, guys are out there taking notes. And I tell them, take notes, that's okay. And when they hear every itching things, like the days of Paul, or the evangelists of the Bible, you know, and how he described the Grecians, that their ears were itching for new things. And they could associate it to, you know, God A, God B. Now this one we call it Jupiter. This one we call him son of Sugoi, Yamawini Kasongo. Yeah, so guys who listen to good ideas easily take them and at least they come up with beautiful documents. When it comes to the reality, that's not who they are. No wonder the hijack of the 2018 the battle, the resilience we put. When we were putting the battle against Raila and Uhuru regime and all the entire government, it was a David versus Goliath war. No one believed us. Actually, in our Uhuru Park press conference, someone thought that this guy is delusional. But we promised, having assessed and seen our constitution, and I think that's why we are deriving our rights and our strength from.
Yes.
The constitution is very clear. And any ruler or any leader who would want to successfully lead this country just rule by the law. And Kenyans are so informed, especially this generation that we're talking about. And the movement as it stands, we are redefining it. It's no longer the way we put us, because initially we were calling it Gen Z because that is one generation that was completely detached from the political processes, completely. Then they were left just in entertainment and leisure. Umepata vijana wanalewa hata siku ya uchaguzi. They had no interest at all. But guess what? The persons who actually are front and center today as we speak, they're even 6 feet under, fighting for this cause. Some are maimed in the hospital, fighting for this cause. And some have been tear gas. And some are being called names. They're called criminals. Now they're being called terrorists. Can you imagine all the names that they're calling these guys who are innocently standing for the Constitution and standing for the documents that we presented before them, and also fighting for their own future? Because they're wondering why, with all this land that we are having, with all these minerals that we're having in this country, why can't it translate into employability? Why can't I have a job? But they can see the son of Ruto is busy showcasing matatus, violating traffic rules, isn't it? They can see how Ruto's daughter has monopolized cereal supply to the cereals board. Can you imagine? Now you can't supply your own maize because somebody has been given all the tenders. Yeah, they can see how the Raila sons, the Uhuru sons, all these families, how they are living in opulence, right on their face. They're traveling, then the air ticket is not an issue. Actually, it's about how are you traveling, which type of air are you, equipment are you using? And as we speak, in Turkana, somebody is still dying of death. As we speak today, somebody is dying because of lack of food. But in Karen, somebody has a budget for a dog. I'm not saying that I don't love animals. But if you could see, even the health cover that a dog has in Karen, you cannot compare to the health cover Simba has.
That's it.
You understand?
That's it.
So why the imbalance in this country? Yet we are all the son of this land? No. So when they are coming out, I am telling them that yes, now, we are not going to keep it compartmentalized like just Gen Z only. It is an all call. Every generation must come out to save their life.
That's it.
Because the few majority who actually have captivated our economic and our political systems to keep on manipulating this geographical location are the tokenism of the outsiders who want to make sure that this geographical location remains a consumer-based market for their own interests. These guys have to be dealt with.
Pretty much.
So those who have lost their life, I still pour out my condolences. I've been shot. I have 3 bullets here. So I know the pain. Sometimes when I shower, when it is cold, and I hear some pain, it reminds me. It reminds me that yes, I can't forget this. It reminds me that it should not be in vain. I've visited them in the hospital, and I meet them in the wards, and when they see you just being with them and supporting them and standing with them, actually one confessed that, man, you've given me a hope that I never thought existed. Because ever since I got into this bed and I was stuck into this bed, I thought it was all over. I thought it was all in vain. I want to tell you that it is not in vain. And normally, as Martin Luther said, when you are at the mountaintop, before you get to the mountaintop, the road winds.
That's it.
And the road winds. And that's when people gives hope.
Yes.
So the winding of the roads, whether it is through the treason charges, the terrorism charges, The winding of the roads, whether it is shoot on the foot, the winding of the road, whether it is the weaponized captured media that are actually, they're even creating for us Gen Z leaders, imagine. But that cannot stop us, because in our hearts, we can feel that we are right at the peak of the mountain.
That's it.
And we can see that this thing is possible, even before 2027. It's possible, by the way. But all we need to do is be able now to identify with the actual genesis of the push for the involvement or participation of citizens in the democratic process. And these individuals who founded this thing and who have paid with their life dearly. Yes. One of them, I'm here standing with you. Yours truly, Justus Juma, and not just speaking, not just coming in, interest to pursue power and political feel good. No, I'm throwing in my candidacy. However unpopular it is with their conventional ways, the way they are doing things, but we must chart this course until we get our sovereignty back. So to me, freedom is here, and freedom is now.
Pretty much. I want to ask you the next question, really.
Right.
And I want to tie these two things together. Talking about campaign financing, we do know that political parties need a lot of resources to campaign.
Yes.
That's why even we have coalitions come together, join forces, and front one candidate who's going to give us better chances and better finances to win, to clinch that position. How does that affect democracy within the country? And I know you've been speaking also about IEBC reforms and access to IEBC. Could you tie those two factors together? What is the special outlook that you have on those two areas?
You see, the political parties funding, according to the constitution that we've given ourselves in Kenyan political party, the Political Parties Act, provides on how a political process actually is funded.
Yes.
You can get funding from membership. You can get funding from corporates. You can get funding from diaspora. And as we talk about funding, guys who are watching, I need your support. Elijah might not allow me to put my account number here, but follow my handles, I'll show.
Yes.
Yeah, so we need the resources are really, really needed.
Yes.
Because the quality of democratic representation also require proper education, proper training, proper enablement, and for people to actually own and uphold those ideologies. As I said earlier, good economy, good democracy leads to good economy. Bad democracy leads to bad economy. And if all of us want to succeed economically, which actually is the overall goal of everybody, whether you don't like politics, whether you just you are a served person, whether you just want your business, or the way Kenyans, some people don't like all these battles the way some of us are born to look for where battle is. The always be found at the center. Yeah, at the end of the day, we want us to succeed in whatever economic venture that we are upholding.
Yes.
So that then mandate that we must have a democratic process that is issue-driven.
Yes.
Not driven by the tribalism or nepotism as it stands today. Because tribalism and nepotism are the things that actually thrives in an environment where there is no accountability.
If somebody gives you 80% of your campaign finances, aren't you going to be forced as a party to sort of bend to what their will be within the economy?
Well, you see, generally, when you're receiving funds to the party, because as I was mentioning, there's also public funding.
Yes.
So all these funds that you receive them based on your party ideologies and your objectives.
That's it.
So if you are being funded within your ideology and your objectives, you can have an ideology that is bending towards partiality, or that's where nepotism comes. So if this was to be real, as we speak right now, the Constitution actually has mandated that all the political parties within Kenya are funded by the party.
Yes.
And that is why we have political parties.
Yes. Juma, just hold on. I've been told that your mic has just gotten into some bit of an issue. Just before we get back to Juma, let me just give you some of the facts that indeed you have to look at exactly where we are. If you want to know where this conversation essentially comes from, it's from Article 91 and 92 that essentially covers all the responsibilities of political parties in the country, even talks about what IEBC's role is really in terms of asking these political parties to deliver their ideologies, That also is being covered there. Also, when you're looking at also the register of political parties in the country as well, part of this is also covered on what these political parties essentially have to deliver. We are at that point where we're asking the question about political campaigns in the country. We do know that majority of Kenyans have even asked this question that, well, if campaign funds are coming essentially from one side of the economy, then political parties are sort of forced to bend or support the ideologies of where majority of these funds are coming from. We're going to respond to that question. Hopefully we will get a sound back on at this particular point so that we can continue responding to that particular area as well. Also, part of the issues that his political party has won around is on areas on how we need educational reforms within the country, digital well-being within the country. They're also asking for IEBC reforms and how parties can ensure that institutions like IEBC are protected from capture and remain accountable to citizens, not politicians as well. All these conversations coming at a time when we are getting up for the 2027 elections, and we can see that indeed currently as it is, political parties are forming alliances and also talking about what their policies are going to be come the 2027 general elections. So let me just confirm again, do we have is sound back on, Director? Yes, not yet. And I would actually beg we take a tiny breather again if we can, so that we have him back. Good. I've been informed that we are back again. Now, if you can jump into that particular question on political campaigns and where their funds come from. It's public knowledge that if I give you 80% of my funds for you to ascend to power, then there's something that I'll need. It's never free.
That is why the Constitution. Sound check. Is it okay?
We're good.
It's good.
Yes.
Is it soprano or bass?
Yeah, it's good.
I'm joking. Well, the Constitution has secured that.
Yes.
And that is why the Kenyan Constitution actually provided for political parties funding. Now, the funds were given, and that's the challenge that we are doing with these cartels around the political party system, where they give you here and they take it this way.
Yes.
Because as we speak right now, there's a provision for 0.3% of the national revenue should go towards funding political or democratic activities.
Yes.
And if you look at how they arrive, because the challenge right now we are having currently is a formula on how that fund is actually trickled down to the political parties, because they've actually subdivided it into 15% goes to a person who has representation with the persons with a disability, special interest group, and then 15% based on the number of candidates that you got, and then the 70% comes from the total votes that you garnered.
Yes.
And when you're looking at that formula, and then again around 5% goes for administration. And when you look at that formula, they went ahead and put a cap that you must at least have won a seat. And for you to win a seat, if you are comparing that formula vis-a-vis other specific jurisdictions, because we have other jurisdictions where actually they've put affirmative action for emerging political parties. They are funded more than already the established political parties for them to play equally on the ideological platform. A number of political parties, now that you're hearing from Justice and Freedom Party, I'm sure somebody is falling in love with JFP. But if you had financial muscles to allow JFP also to be heard, the way other political parties are being heard, then there will be equity. So those are the areas where these challenges emanate from.
Yes.
Because if we were having equal funding that actually applies, like right now we have about 90 political parties. If all the 90 political parties had specific minimum, that all of you need this to sell your ideologies, you need this to maintain your offices, you need this to maintain, to reach out and popularize your ideology.
Yes.
That will actually enrich citizens' democratic menu, in that you're able to identify with this, you're able to identify this. And by the way, if you listen to all these political parties, they have super ideologies. They are beautiful. they are well done. But when it comes to funding,
on paper, isn't it?
Exactly. When it comes to funding, somebody has all the like right now, I think over 90% of that fund goes to just 2 political parties. Can you imagine? UDA and ODM. And then the rest of the people, you're expected to catch up with them through magics. Now, those are the injustices that we are fighting for. And of course, for you to sustain this, you have to, because when you look at the Political Parties Act and the Register of Political Parties compliance requirements, the assumption is that you are a recipient of that money. Like Justice and Freedom Party, which actually was audited among the best, unqualified opinion is like A.
Yes.
Yeah, so yes, we have the best opinion from or Auditor General because we are managing our party well. Now, when you look at the audit requirements, the assumption is like you are receiving funds just like any other. Yeah, so those are the challenges and the discrepancies that if corrected, then we can actually balance the issue of the campaign financing. Because if we leave it, then again, you starve these ones and let the others to move, you'll be opening the door for manipulation.
Yes.
And especially the external inducement, which after how in Guinea, the ones who are receiving this majority share of this funding, they are still those, they're still the prostitutes in their house.
That's it.
Who do not resist any temptation to receive inducement from the external forces.
That's it.
Those are the ones who are funding them to get airport deals. They are the ones who are funding them to privatize our parastatals. They're the ones who are funding them to get political favors, which actually are stifling our economy. These are the guys who are now fleecing our mineral resources. And this can be stopped. So I agree with you. Campaign financing is a major facet that if unlocked, then we'll have major democratic breakthrough that can make Kenya enjoy a menu that is very rich with various political ideologies.
Still on the same area for political ideology.
Right.
We do know the history of elections in this country. That it's either there is part 1 or part 2. That's how Kenyan elections have taken place in this country. There have been 2 strong political parties in the country. So what these political parties tend to do is that they absorb the other smaller political parties within the Kenyan juries and form one bigger political party.
What we call alliance.
As an alliance. In the event that you are approached as a party,
right,
are you going to be approached based on the likeness of your ideologies to the other parties, or are you going to charter your own way by yourselves? Because somebody said there is no way your ideology is going to be an exact replica of the other parties'
political parties. Yes, actually, the Constitution is not silent on that. Actually, it's very clear in terms of how political parties can relate. Political parties can relate through coalitions, where you coalesce, form a coalition document that you register and submit to the Register of Political Parties. And then there's also another provision that you can also form an alliance, where you ally to specific, where I think even a coalition and a coalition can still ally.
Yes.
Yeah, so, and also there's you can merge, dissolve, since if you find that your ideologies are so the same. I saw the other day, the ANC just dissolved itself and joined UDA. Yeah, so there are those constitutional provisions, and there are specific standard that governs them. And it's not left in the dark, where you are like, this one will swallow the rest. Now, as Justice and Freedom Party historically, we've gone for over a decade and a half now in the political terrain. And each time we do lack political parties which have resonating political ideologies. And as a result, we've always not been caught up in those coalitions. No wonder we stand out as the political vehicle that has sustained this call for citizens' participation in the democratic process. We pushed this. We pushed this through media debates like this. We pushed this through town halls. We pushed this through social media campaigns, and it is taking effect. Yeah, so I do agree with you that the keyword to this, especially effective democratic process, require proper guided funding. And without that provision, still people like us, we are still able to weather the storm. No wonder we're reaching out to you. Wherever you are, You're looking for a political vehicle that has been tested and tried and is still going forward. Now have elected members, audited the best. The other day we were awarded also by Westminster Foundation, even in terms of inclusion and participation among the 3 categories. Justice and Freedom Party won, all the 90 political parties. Another one was won by UDA, another one was won by ODM. And that so far actually has put us in front in terms of even measuring our potential within the democratic space.
Yes.
So I'm reaching out to aspirants and candidates. Don't be duped into these things called stupid political party. To me, it's a fallacy. Those guys are not dependable. They'll box you up, 10 of you, and sometimes I look at these candidates and I even laugh. 10 of you looking for one seat. Then one person is given and the rest are crying foul. And what they kill are political dreams.
Yes.
Or leadership aspirations. You can't let your dream slip. And that is what I've always advised them. And so we've weathered the storms, and here we're still standing, Justice and Freedom Party, as a movement. And now we are around they were calling us Gen Zs, but I'm telling them that's not our name anymore. When they're looking for us, that other side, they'll find us circumspectly with all the Kenyans around,
yes,
moving for participation of all the citizens in the democratic process.
Pretty much.
Right.
Let's talk about this, and I know we've mentioned it on a snapshot,
right?
But it's touching on the digital involvement of the youth in political parties in this country. Somebody said that youth are digitally connected,
right?
But then they are politically disconnected.
Yes.
I mean, as a party, there's that wave that is huge right now. Every other person is looking at that block for the youth in the country, and they're saying, come 2027, if indeed majority of this youth register and they're pushed to vote, then we do know exactly how they're going to vote.
Right.
What are you doing as a party to capture
yes,
this digitally connected youth who are politically disconnected?
Oh yeah, we do hang out quite often.
Yes.
Hapo kwa TikTok, you know where to find me at Justice Juma.
Yes.
Hapo kwa X Space. Just the other day we led, the X Space release Mwambili, the guy who was abducted just the other day.
Yes.
Yeah, you saw our voice was counting. We were lobbying, and thank Yahweh is free now. And then we've always our pressure points where we hang out. Even if you come to Facebook, you'll find me. Even in the groups, I'm not quiet. And I believe even in the WhatsApp, and then you can attest to that. Yes, we are there. But all this should lead to a specific result. And there should now be concrete participation in the political process or democratic process. And concrete participation requires that you're either a voter or an aspirant. To be a voter, you must be registered as a voter. So however much intelligent we are and can exchange ideas within all those areas where we hang out, if we do not translate them into tangible voter turnout, then these other guys with numbers, they can have all those tribalists recruited as voters, and they'll vote themselves in. Yeah, so for us to really vote them out, then you must register as a voter. But key of them all, you also must come out as a candidate. All those good men, if you're doing nothing, the bad guys will continue and the bad girls will continue.
Yes.
So if we come out and lead from the front, focus in that seat. If we want a party to give you a nomination certificate for that MCA position,
yes,
we have 1,400 MCA positions in the entire country.
Yes.
We have 2,290 parliamentary positions in this country, plus 47 women rep, 47 governors, 47 senators. Of course, at the presidential, get ready to contend with me, even in Justice and Freedom Party. already I've had 3 fellow contenders. Ruben Kigame joined us, so he's fighting with me to get the JFP presidential ticket.
That's it.
And Professor Mburu joined us, is fighting with me to get the JFP certificate.
Yes.
And I'm telling them, let the best man win. So we are not insecure. And that is the essence of democracy. And I'm so certain, because I keep warning them that looking at the things, numbers seems to be favoring me. But let's open our space. and engage concretely in the democratic process.
Yes.
Get into the field and even if you lose election, like us, the first attempt we never, we went and we didn't, it was not successful, a positive announcement. But we turned our negative result into something, campaign for citizen Kujeni Bado.
That's it.
And we've sustained that, even with the bullets, even with tear gas, even being called a criminal, even being called a terrorist. We are still here standing, making sure that this dream does not sleep, it come to pass. So everybody can participate. So if you have a strength and you're looking for a party, Karibu, JFP is an open door.
Pretty much.
Yes, sir.
Good. As we get close to the end of this conversation, I just have 3 questions left around this. Let's talk about your recent call out of the, I would say, regional injustice. That's what you called it, of that was against activist Mobili Magodi. You called for regional accountability.
Right.
So the question is, what role should political parties, even those that are not in power, play, not just locally, but then regionally? Because we do understand, just a couple of months ago, we've had regional politics that are playing back locally into the country.
Well, when I look at KK government, sometimes, and I'm being honest, and I'm being fair, they don't have a foreign policy. If they copied something and put it in a paper,
yes.
If you look at their action, honestly speaking, they don't have foreign policy. I looked at how they lost even AU. That was not something they were to lose. But because if you look at the diplomatic processes, Ruto's pronouncement, even in the global field, has not worked favorably, even for Africans. Look at partnering with US,
yes,
doing US dirty work in Haiti. What does without having proper understanding on how to put your citizen first? Sometimes when Trump says America first, well, that is them, their interest first. But where will my interest come first? Because the American interest cannot supersede my interest. So when you look at how KK government is handling themselves diplomatically, even in East Africa alone, we have lost quite a lot.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Lookup, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu
Kenya is actually the gate for that market. And somebody is seated here playing with that opportunity. Instead of converting it into the benefit of Kenyans, here you still are. Here you're looking at how to fleece and, rob Kenyan, pay slip. This guy is overtaxing people mercilessly, just in the name of trying to pay for the things they've stolen. Yes, so the current diplomatic philosophy these guys are operating in actually does not even exist in any paper. If I was to scrutinize it intelligently, I look at the mess we just made the other day in Southern Sudan. In Southern Sudan, was a good opening economy whose root was where? It's still in Kenya. And look at our landlocked brother, Uganda. And the issues, and now we are having issues even in East Africa community where people are being arrested in Kenya. You saw the the Ugandan opposition leader arrested here, actually abducted in our own country. Like we don't have security measures. And what is happening? They're doing the same to our own people. So, we should have a policy that makes us benefit. And this is my current call to entire Africa.
Yes.
The amount of money we get from visas on these stupid borders compared to the amount of money we can get when we are trading among ourselves. Because one major undoing with the African economies is that they are consuming more than they're trading. And for you to enhance trade, then you must open these borders. Make sure that you are able to sell more. I'm telling you, you move to DRC, the other side. the things that are selling at a waste here in Italy,
yes,
they actually, you can earn 100 plus profit because they are highly demanded the other side. But because there's all these trade bureaucracies that are being played by leaders who are not leaders. No, there's corrupt agents who are just fleecing, and at any given thing they're looking around to make money, who have sustained the colonial scramble, which are actually meant to keep Africa third or least, so that they have nothing to compete with, but they keep on receiving from the other side. We cannot borrow our way to economic freedom.
Yes,
we must have something to trade in return.
Yes.
So for us to trade, then we must then adopt policies that enhance trade itself. And let me tell you, the return on trade and foreign exchange that we'll earn through export way outdo the amount of money that we're getting through this visa collection in our borders.
Yes, pretty much. Now let's end it like this then. If elected in 2027,
yes, sir,
what kind of political legacy would you want the Justice and Freedom Party to leave behind beyond holding that power?
Wow. That touched straight to my heart.
Yes.
Looking for a country where you merit your justice, you don't buy it. I'm looking for a country where whether you're in Turkana, you can also eat and have opportunities that a current person has.
Yes.
I'm looking for a country where there is the rule of law. I'm looking for a country where leaders are capable. Meritocracy actually is given priority. This isn't why you are sent to school, where you learn. And you've seen. And put me with these guys in the debates. It's good, at least you give me this, and then sometimes you put them here when we are debating them, and you can see how dumb they are. They can't even articulate their own ideologies. And there they are, using those tribal appointments and the privileges of the media houses they have, and thanks to look up TV, I'll keep on coming. Let me tell you, invite me and the other guys invite me, I'll give you a priority, because you are giving a priority to meritocracy. Those guys don't care about meritocracy. And we're looking for a Kenya where there is meritocracy. And a key of it all, we're looking at how to set Kenya free from this debt trap.
Yes.
You see, we are not broke. We're just being broken by debt without production.
Yes.
If we are to be able to get Kenya's debt crisis right, then there are certain facts that actually must be put in place.
Yes.
As we stand, yes, you are right. Kenyan debt stands at 70% of the GDP, imagine, in 2025. GDP, yani 1.5 trillion inaenda. Na bado zinasonga, ukiangalia Eurobond is maturing in 2027.
2027, yes. Would you expect that?
WAS is still coming,
yes,
with over 2 billion due.
Yes.
Can you imagine? Leave alone the 1.5 you're selling with.
Yes. In a minute, Juma.
Right. And domestic borrowing, when you look at the domestic borrowing and the challenges that they're bringing at our own ability to then trade,
yes,
and initiate investment and productive income, you realize that you're competing with your own government. And we have mechanisms that can help us get out of this. As Justice and Freedom Party, we are trying to propose. We're not saying that we need to default on our debts,
yes,
but we can restructure our debts in a way that they favor production. And if we can produce, Kenya will get out of this the quagmire that we're in. Because definitely, as I said earlier, you cannot borrow your way to economic freedom. You must produce.
That's it. If there was going to be then an ideology, there it is, that they have a way out of the Kenyan debt that currently stands at close to 70% of Kenya's GDP. The latest figures putting it at 67.5%. If you wanted an absolute figures, 11.5 trillion. We're above that figure and counting. In conversation with Dr. Justice Juma, who is the leader, Justice and Freedom Party. They're saying, look out for them in 2027. Thank you very much for coming. Anytime. Taking back to the time that he joined us right here at Lookup TV across all your social media platforms. I am at Kenya Gesimba. I'll see you another time for another conversation. Good morning and goodbye.
value your feedback.